Director of the Daily Caller, radio host here in Washington. All right, it makes sense that you have a candidate who changes the playbook and does better either in MAGA country or with suburban voters that we've talked about. How does Youngkin do better with both? And then how do you replicate that for Republicans in 2022?
Well, I think what he did was he basically took Trump voters, convinced them that he's going to speak to their issues, and then he grew from there. And the reality is, look, he was dealt a historically bad opponent. I mean, this was Texas Hold'em, Terry McAuliffe was holding a 2-7 offsuit. I mean, it was just the worst campaign you could possibly think of, especially that September 29th gaffe where Terry McAuliffe says out loud that parents shouldn't be in the business of telling schools what their kids should learn. So that's the hand that you've got Glenn Youngkin holding. So that's when education takes off as one of the #1 issues. Youngkin realizes this is his opportunity in Northern Virginia. He goes to Northern Virginia. He speaks to Loudoun County. He speaks to Fairfax County. And that's where he convinces voters in those counties that he's going to serve their interests well in a way that McAuliffe won't, because McAuliffe had just declared that he thinks parents should stay out of the lives of their kids' education.
Right, and that's when Youngkin started talking about repealing the grocery tax and kitchen table issues and jobs and the like. So you think about this, and always in the media we love to make these grandiose statements of, this means X, that means, and there's this going theory that this means wokeism is dead and now suddenly there is a red wave to come. Too early?
I think what's critical here, the lesson that can be derived and should be derived no matter your political party, is listen to the voters and figure out what it is that they want. So Terry McAuliffe decides that he wants to nationalize this race. He wants to run it against Donald Trump, who's not even in the campaign. And Glenn Youngkin takes what's left of the battlefield, which is all of it. And that's just listening to voters and channeling their concerns. So much of the media has been spending a lot of time kind of focused on, what role did Trump play in this race? What role will Trump play in the future? And that's a perfectly good question because Trump has a big presence, of course, in the Republican Party. But I think the key is that question fundamentally misses that what made Trump successful in the first place is he spoke to the gut instincts and the feelings of policy among voters. So if candidates can duplicate that, not the Trump sort of insult spree, but sort of speaking to issues.
MAGA without the crazy is how it was described at one point, sort of in a thought. On the other hand, you had the left here watching Glenn Youngkin's rise. You pointed the moment that you knew he was going to win, and then all of a sudden sort of viewing it in this prism that didn't make a lot of sense to suburban voters. Take a listen.
Have we seen the emergence of the Delta variant of Trumpism? The Delta variant of Trumpism. In other words, Youngkin, same disease, but spreads a lot faster.
It almost sounds like Van Jones is more worried about Youngkin and the policies and the way Youngkin sells himself to a crowd than Donald Trump.
Well, first of all, I just think that analogy is awful to talk about a political person that way, to suggest that there's somehow an infectious and deadly disease. Glenn Youngkin is anything but. Glenn Youngkin is a pretty normal, sort of middle-of-the-road guy, moderate temperament, and he spoke directly to voters' concerns. You had McAuliffe, who really wanted to make part of this campaign about the issue of abortion. Youngkin basically stayed away from that. He signaled that he was pro-life, but he said, what, the issues I'm going to focus on are the economy and schools and education.
Figured out what people really cared about.
That's straight up just what people cared about in Virginia, and that is how you succeed. This is not rocket science. In politics, you succeed if you can do the thing that the voters want you to do.
Yeah, well, and you have to see if everyone is learning that going forward. Vince, awesome conversation. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.